Hello and welcome to the show. Today is also going to be another out and about episode, so expect to hear the usual interruptions. Now, we're going to continue on educational ideas, that's educational content ideas for beauty and skincare entrepreneurs. We've already run the gamut on producing stuff for Instagram, and we're currently on the kind of content ideas that these sorts of individuals can put out on podcasts. Now, remember, even though we're going to be talking directly to beauty and skincare entrepreneurs, the advice is for everyone else, even if you're opening up a dental practice or if you're a carpenter or a wedding photographer. Just take the principles, take the ideas, and see how you can apply them to your own particular circumstance, and you will be fine. We did the intro yesterday to podcasting, and then today I'm going to go through the things that you need and go through a step-by-step process for recording an audio-only podcast. So, if you're only going to put out an audio-only podcast, remember I said that my own experience has been with Anchor. Anchor has been bought over by Spotify. So if you're looking for the app, you should be looking for Podcasters by Spotify. So that's what it's called. That's what you should be looking for in your, your Google Play Store. Your Google Play Store or your Apple, Apple App Store, I think. So that's what you should be looking for. Now, the reason why I'm recommending Anchor, it's not because of any professional reasons per se. It's just that when I was getting ready to start podcasting, I was looking for something that was free. I was looking for something that was easy to use. I was looking for something that could be done on a mobile phone. And I was looking for something that I didn't have to worry about hosting to other platforms. And the reason why I selected that was obvious. I wanted it to be free because I wasn't going to spend money on the podcast, because I already spend lots of I anticipated that I was going to spend lots of time on the podcast anyway, so I didn't want to throw any money behind it. Now, mobile phone, I wanted something I could do on the mobile phone because I wanted to be able to record whenever or wherever I want. For instance, I'm out and about right now, and all I did was just park the car, I whipped out my phone, and I hit record. If I'm anchored to a studio, then I have to get home, get to the office, boot up the computer, plug in the microphone, sound check, all of that. So I need to get rid of all that just so that I can podcast consistently, because I know myself, if I throw up if I throw up too many roadblocks when it comes to podcasting, then I'm just not going to get it done. So that's why for me, mobile phone really important. Another reason why I wanted to be able to do it from my mobile phone was because I assumed I could be wrong, but I assumed that anything that had to do, if I had to do it on a mobile phone, then it was going to be simple and intuitive to use. Back in my university days, I did some musical production work for a while, and so did my brother. So I'm familiar with Fruity Loops, GarageBand, Mic SoundForge, all those other stuff. And yeah, they're okay if you're a sound person. They're easy to use, but for me, that's not my native competence, and I found some of those editing things really cumbersome. So I figured if it's going to be done on a mobile phone, it will be easy and intuitive to use. And basically, those are some of the reasons why I decided on the phone, and I decided on Anchor. So, of course, if you're looking at things from a different perspective than I am, then you don't necessarily have to be bound by my thought process or by my choices. So you don't have to use Anchor. Do whatever. Sorry, not Anchor. It's no longer Anchor. It's now Spotify. So you don't have to use Spotify. Do your research, and whatever catches your fancy, just roll with it. But in principle, the steps that I'm going to describe are going to be the same. Now, first off, you have to prepare your audio file, and you record your podcast using your device or your software. So for me, it's a mobile phone. If you decide you want to go the real polished route and you have your recording space, then you jack your mic up into your computer. What else? You do a test session and to be sure that everything is the sound is nice and gated. Use a spit guard. If you're going to use a computer and external mic, then use a spit guard. It gets rid of the harsh P, F, T. What else? It gets rid of all those harsh noises, and then also when you breathe and when you swallow and then things like that. So on this podcast, I know all of that comes through here, but it's just lots of things in business is compromise. So that's the compromise. So if you don't want all of that, then get your microphone, use a spit guard, plug it into your recording setup, and then you will be fine. You don't have to use your laptop. If you have a Zoom recorder or an audio recorder, that works as well. So step one, prepare your audio. And then you can also edit the audio using editing software. The level of editing that is required, it depends on you and what it is that you are trying to achieve. Now, I know some people who just set noise levels, and who, when you set noise levels, that's basically just to get rid of, extreme loud noises. What is it called? Well, some people set noise levels and use I can't remember what the app, what the function is called, where it gets rid of noise. So you can reduce noise, you can set noise levels. Some people take it a step further. They do all that. Then they limit all the ums and the ahs and the coughs and the sniffing and the swallowing and stuff like that. All the other stuff that I leave in basically. And that time when I was recording, and then my youngest walked in and said, "Dad, I want to pee." So some people do, editing, get rid of "Dad, I want to pee," get rid of the coughing, get rid of the cars driving by, get rid of everything. Then let's see what else. So that's it basically. So edit edit according to your fancy and what it is that you're trying to produce. Whether you're trying to produce something that is has high production value behind it. For me, production value is not really what I'm after, at least for now. For me, I'm much more focused on how useful and how relevant the content is. Now, those things are not mutually exclusive, but I'm going to worry about production value much later, when I'm making a whole lot more money, and then I can hire a personal assistant and a production assistant, people like that, to keep me on track and worry about the scheduling and things of that nature. Then step two, you open up your Anchor app, if you still have the old app, or if the app has now been migrated or converted on your phone and is now Podcasters by Spotify. So you open up Podcasters by Spotify, sign into your account, and then you click on episodes. And then when you click on episodes, you now click further on new episode. And then when you click on new episode, it's going to give you an option. It's going to say either record, or it's going to hit the library option. Now, record is for those of you who want to record directly in the app. That is also possible. Now, my guess is I probably did my guess is I probably did maybe 500 episodes in app. I just open up the app and then I hit record and then I start recording. So that is a possibility. Well, in fact, I was just being lazy, even though I could have fooled around and discovered earlier that I could have recorded on other platforms and then use the use the library function to now upload the audio that I had recorded through other sources. Now, the only reason why I stopped recording in app was because if you hit the library option and you want to load up audio that you had recorded on another setup, then it allows for some flexibility, because like now I'm recording this thing right now, and so let's say my youngest comes out again and says, "Dad, I want to pee." What I can do is I can just hit pause and go do something else, and then come back and then hit on pause or hit play and then continue with the recording. And that was not possible doing in app. So that's the reason why now I record directly into my phone and then I move the audio from my phone into the app. So process is the same if you're going to use a laptop. So if you're using a laptop or using a Zoom recorder, then after you've exported the audio to your computer or to your phone and you're ready to put it in the app, what you will click is not record, but rather what you will click is library option, and then the library option would allow you to select the particular file that you want to use. You can also edit your episodes using the inbuilt tools on Podcasters by Spotify. You can add music. Some people like that. Although, quite frankly, I think that except if you're running a high-end production kind of setup, I think adding music is a waste of time. Because if you're doing audio like the average Joe like me, the audio is not so clean to begin with, and then you want to put music and you don't properly sync the music, because these things have to be timed. The tempo of how you talk, the tempo of the music. You have to blend all these things nicely. Some of that high production value. Hollywood jazz. That kind of thing. So if you're not going to bother about doing it the right way, I really think you should just skip the music thing, because sometimes, because I've listened to some podcasts that start off on a real nice note, and of course you start with the music upbeat, but then the person starts talking about dark traumatic events that happened in the person's life, but then the music is still the same upbeat music that you had from the beginning, and it just doesn't gel. So if you're going to do that audio thing, adding music, it's another extra level of editing, and you might as well get someone with some expertise to be able to start music with one kind of tempo, fade out into another kind of tempo when the mood changes, that sort of thing. So if you're not going to bother being that professional about it, then in my own opinion, music, just don't bother. You can add sound effects. There's some people that add applause, laughter, stuff like that. And then some people also add transitions, like swooshes and things, where you're moving from one segment to the other. Then, after you're done editing your episode in the app, you can also add the details. Yes, so you enter a title for your episode. If coming up with a title is giving you headaches, then this is where Google Bard and ChatGPT come in real handy. You can use the prompt and ask for suggestions for your podcast title, and that will be a headache less way, or a less headache or a less stressful way of coming up with podcast titles. Then, okay, so you put the title, then you write a description for the podcast if you want to. For the first maybe 200 or 300 episodes, I used to write descriptions, saying on today's podcast episode, we discussed the implications of and we went through A, B, C, and D, E, F. But I don't do that anymore. I just come up with the title and I just copy and paste the title in the details section. But if you want to do things nice and proper, then yeah, you put a summary as well. Then when you're done with everything, you just publish the episode. There's a button on Podcasters by Spotify that says publish. So you just click, or tap rather, since I'm talking about mobile phones here, and you tap the publish option. And then your podcast episode is going to be published on Podcasters by Spotify, and it will be distributed to Spotify and then other podcast platforms. I hear that now they don't do that as much, but back when I started in the good old days, that was the benefit of getting early. So basically, my podcast is on Spotify. It's on what else? It's on Apple iTunes. It's on Google Podcasts. It's on what else? Pocket Casts. It's on. I'd say close to 20, maybe a dozen or 20 other podcast directories, and I didn't have to do that myself. It was something that Anchor did back when it was Anchor for everyone. So now you might have to do that by yourself. I suspect maybe they're going to do iTunes and Spotify, but then you have to do all the rest by yourself, Amazon Music, and then all of that jazz. Yeah, so that's it pretty much. Now, I compiled a series of notes from Google that I share to anyone who is interested in starting up a podcast. So when most people hit me up, I just send this process that I've gone through. That's what I send to them. Then, because, well, I like to get people thinking about why you're starting the podcast and making sure you have realistic expectations, stuff like that. But some people don't like all that turenshi. They don't like all that talk. They just want you to tell them step 1, step 2, step 3. So I've gotten some steps outlined like this: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and I just send it to those people. So if you're interested in the step 1, 2, 3, 4 without all the background context that I've been going into, then that is going to be on the podcast notes, so that once you're done listening to this episode, you just click on details in the podcast. In some podcast app, it's details. In some podcast app, it's notes. In some podcast app, it's about. So click on details, notes, information, about, whatever. And then I will have copied and pasted all the links here. So you can see the step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's also going to be a link to the Spotify Help Center. There's a link there for creating a podcast using Spotify. There's also a quick start guide. Let's see what else. Okay, so that's it pretty much. So that's what you need essentially for people who want to record audio podcasts. So for tomorrow, I'm going to go through the same process for people who want to put up video only podcasts. Okay, well, there's no such thing as a video only podcast because you can always repurpose the video. Okay, so let's just say a primarily video based podcast. So we'll run through the same process for that tomorrow. Okay, no, tomorrow I'm going to be on the road. Family, we're traveling for vacation, so we're all heading out to Makudi. Okay, so let's say the day after. Today's the 20th, tomorrow's 21st. Okay, yeah. So let's say on the 22nd, that's when I'll go through this same process for putting up primarily video-based podcasts. So thank you very much for your time and attention. Oh, 20 minutes. Bang on the money. Okay, so thanks for your time and attention. Remember to connect with me on WhatsApp. The number is 080-6466-2140, and the country code is +234 for those of you who are hitting me up outside the shores of Nigeria. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Tavishima Ayede, yours truly, the host of this podcast. The spelling of my name, you can find it wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. So just check the website link if you're listening to this on a web page, or if you're listening to this on the podcast directory, a podcatcher app, whatever it is that you're using. Just check there. You see the correct spelling of my name, so you can search me out on LinkedIn. My email address is also going to be there. That's for those of you who do not like the phone. Although I wonder, why are some of you guys still afraid of the phone in 2023? It's the easiest way to reach someone, especially if someone puts out the phone number, puts the phone number there. Because the thing is, for those of you who reach out to me on LinkedIn, yes, I'm going to see your message, but 3 or 4 days might have passed. But you call me up, we're having a conversation. If you send me a message on LinkedIn, I'll respond to it in a couple of hours, and we get things going there. So stop being afraid of the phone. Take advantage of the phone, not just because it makes my life easier, but also because it is going to make your life easier as well. You will run into some of those people who are too cool or too big for the phone, especially in Nigeria. There's some of that big man syndrome growing up. So once people have made it and they achieve some status, they don't want to pick up their phone anymore. They don't want to answer calls or whatever. So yeah, if you're dealing with those sorts of people, then yes, look for other means. Avoid the phones. But for everybody else, especially for people like me who are putting out their phone numbers, it's okay. Just hit me up over the phone. So thanks for your time and attention. For those of you who are going to be traveling, like I am in a couple of days, wishing you guys a safe journey. And it's my prayer that as we're heading, wherever we're heading for the holidays, for those of you who are traveling abroad, hope you guys have fun. For those of you who are heading back home to the villages and to the town, to go and see grandma and grandpa or to go and be with your folks, it's my prayer that wherever you go, you meet your people in good health, and that we all get to grow together in love. As families, and that as we're getting ready to head into 2024, that this is going to be a year that is going to have pleasant surprises, that is going to come with growth, and that is going to come with advancement and prosperity, not just for us individually, but for our families and our children as a whole. So thank you very much for listening to the podcast, especially those of you who've been listening since before COVID. Thank you very much for being a part of the journey. I'm looking forward to bringing more value to you guys' life as we enter into 2024. So I'll catch you guys on the next episode.